Well, hi there, everybody, and good morning to meteorologist Travis Klineski here on this Thursday morning. A couple of things to note. First off, a very quiet morning. There have been just a couple of clouds that have developed early this morning over eastern Nebraska. It's been a little foggy around Beatrice. Most of the fog has been along and east of the Missouri River this morning. A light east and southeasterly wind is going to begin to pick up. We've got a warm front situated about right here, kind of right in this general vicinity here, that's going to be lifting northeastward today. Also of note, there is a cold front right here, and it goes all the way up into the western Dakotas. My arrow doesn't go above the little banner there, so it just disappears. But you can see where the clouds are there, so that gives you an idea where the front is. The warm front's going to lift northeastward. The cold front's going to push southeastward here. I'll show you where that is by the end of the day. But it's going to be a pretty quiet day, but the winds are going to pick up, and we're going to see some heat build in today. Later this afternoon, here's the warm front right in here. So more of a southeast wind ahead of the front, and it'll be very warm into the 80s, but hot 90s coming with some breezy southerly winds here across these areas. And then the cold front is going to be right here, and it will stall out later today. And when I say stall out, it's going to become what's called quasi-stationary. What quasi-stationary means, it's not completely stationary, it just drifts around a little bit. So a stationary front doesn't move. Quasi-stationary front just kind of drifts around. It's not really a full cold front, it's not a full warm front, it just kind of slowly moves around, and it separates two types of air masses. That one air mass being hot out ahead of it, cooler northeasterly winds behind it, and a few clouds around that frontal boundary. Heading into tonight, the winds will remain breezy. It will be a very mild night for many of us, and there will be an increase in clouds with perhaps a few spotty showers and isolated thunderstorms early tomorrow morning. We'll back this up just a little bit here to about 3, 4 a.m. as we see a couple of those develop right in there here. I'm not expecting much. Most of us will miss out. Tomorrow morning, behind that front, low clouds and fog could develop in northwest portions of Nebraska. The rest of us, a warm and breezy night. Tomorrow during the day, the showers and the clouds early in the day are going to move off to the east. We'll see plenty of sunshine return. Breezy winds again out of the south. Strongest winds will be over eastern areas. The front will actually drift closer to the Tri-Cities. Should be somewhere between about McCook to Broken Bow to O'Neill, right in here. South wind strong out ahead of it, lighter north and northeast winds behind it, but there will be a separation of air masses. Hot right in here, and then cooler the farther northwest that you go. Tomorrow night, we will see, once again, maybe some... Actually, I'm going to back this up real quick because the other thing I don't want to ignore here. Northeast Nebraska, there could be some thunderstorms that pop up in the evening hours. There is a small chance of severe weather. You kind of see that activity there. It's not much. Then later in the night and into early on Saturday morning, once again, some pop-up showers. This time maybe a little east of the Tri-Cities. I did include a small chance, but maybe more to the east. Meanwhile, the front's still about right here. And to the north and west of that front, western and northern areas might see some low clouds and fog as we begin Saturday morning. So, first thing with that severe weather threat, the Storm Prediction Center for Friday evening does have a small chance of severe weather over northeast Nebraska. The better chance may actually be off to the northeast up into eastern South Dakota, western Minnesota. As for your temperatures the next couple of days, a couple of things worth noting here. Like you mentioned, a couple of those frontal boundaries, the warm front kind of right in here, and then the cold front kind of right in here. Hot weather out to the south of those two boundaries into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Let me kind of delete some of those lines there. To the northeast, 80s, still plenty warm for this time of the year, very warm. And then to the northwest, 80s, but then 70s in the northwest part of the state here. That's actually going to be cooler than what we saw yesterday for highs in those locations. Tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll drop back only into the 60s. It's going to be a mild night, but again, there is that front off to the northwest right in here, and so it will be cooler in the 50s and the 40s in those locations. Tomorrow, kind of the same thing here. You see the frontal boundary right in there. Upper 80s and low to mid 90s out ahead of the front, cooler 70s and lower to mid 80s in those locations behind the frontal boundary. Tomorrow night, again, there's a separation, 60s to near 70 degrees for overnight lows. A very warm night into Saturday morning with cooler 50s to the northwest here, so you can kind of get a good idea again of where that front will be. And as we jump into your Saturday, maybe not quite as distinguished, but the front's still there. Again, just a little bit cooler to the northwest of that boundary. Another hot day out ahead of it. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. We're going to see about 5 days of well above average high temperatures in the upper 80s and lower 90s in the Tri-Cities area. A couple of small chances of rain and thunderstorms early Friday morning, early Saturday morning, and then again Saturday night and early Sunday morning. These are not very good chances, but can't rule something out. It's going to be a hot one in Lincoln for the Husker game. A high probably around 93 or 94 degrees about halftime. The winds will also be strong as well. So hopefully if you're in West Stadium, that's the best spot because you'll get behind some of that shade as the West Stadium starts to shade that part of the stadium later, especially in the second half of the game. But it's going to be pretty uncomfortable there. So they'll probably have a policy of maybe bringing water. I think you can be able to drink. I don't know that for sure. Check ahead of time here, but I know for Husker games, sometimes in those hotter games, they allow people to bring water bottles into the game, clear water bottles, to have something to keep them hydrated. The wind's also going to be very strong during this hot stretch. More interesting weather is going to come Tuesday as a cold front sweeps through. That brings us our best chance of rain and thunderstorms Tuesday to Tuesday night, and a bigger cool down coming in with highs only in the 70s on Tuesday and Wednesday, and lows dropping down. After several nights in a row, 60s for lows will drop down into the 50s Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And that may just be the beginning of cooler air that will arrive. The middle of next week, it's 70s. By the end of next week, Friday and Saturday, we could be talking about just 60s for highs. Saturday right there, the 7th of October, that is the Harvest of Harmony Parade. If it's in the low 60s for highs, that could mean pretty chilly air to start the day at the parade. So it may be a bundle up kind of morning there in downtown Grand Island. Just seems like we always get that little cold shot right around the 1st of October, the first part of October, right around the Harvest of Harmony Parade. Not every year, but maybe this year could be one of those years. One thing I want to show you here, this is one long-range forecast model. Again, plenty of warmth ahead these next several days to come. But then look what's coming about Tuesday. Here comes the cooler air on Tuesday into Wednesday. But then look what's coming at the end of next week. Boom, our first shot of Canadian air coming in here. So that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out later on next week. There's my forecast for all of you. I want to thank you all for watching on this Thursday. I'll be back with you on Friday to wrap up the work week. Until then, take care and God bless. Bye.